So as we get started, and you can see the title of my presentation is a buzzword that everybody's after, and a lot of people don't know if it's coachable or not. You hear a lot of things, but speed and how to get it, that's the title of our presentation today. As he mentioned, I've been with APEC for what will be 12 years. Before that, briefly in the private sector, and then worked for a high school coach and one of the best that's ever to do it. Just had a lot of people pour into me, and any opportunity that I get to present or give back, I relish it, because I think about all the people that took their time to talk to a little kid that was bugging the heck out of them. And just had no money, but just really wanted to know everything that anybody ever had that knew about anything. And so anytime I get these opportunities, I do want to take advantage of them. If you guys, I'd love to connect with everybody on social media. So if you have any social media, Facebook, just APEC, but I want to connect with people. And so one of the things that I want to accomplish today, I know you already paid a fee, but I would say that price of admission for this presentation would be, I want to connect with you there. So if you could hook up with me there, that'd be great. Moving on, I call it continuing education because it's not really a background, it's ongoing. I try to read a book every month, at least one, and I try to review another one. And this is just a list of some things that I've gotten myself into. My business partners and my spouse think I should quit doing continuing education, but it's a part of this. You're always learning in this industry. You don't ever know it. You don't ever have it down. And so if you look, there's a wide range from doing a fellowship in physical therapy to getting licensed in manual reaction to doing different things off the beaten path, and now I'm pursuing and finishing up a master's in sports psychology. But if you look, there's just a lot of different people that I've had an opportunity to learn from, and a lot of people that are very smart in very specific areas, and that's molded a lot of the ways that we think and our philosophy as a whole. As far as my background, I worked with one of the very first speed coaches ever. His name was Tim Powers. It was basically him and Tom Shaw and Lauren and Dan Paff, those guys. He was my mentor. I was a kid that wanted to be good at athletics, and I had a decent opportunity. He was a speed guy, and he sucked the blood out of a turnip there, and it was amazing. And then I worked for G.A. Moore, who's the all-time winningest high school football coach in the history of football. He's got, I think, 11 state championships between football and track. And he's just an amazing mentor on how to treat people, how to talk to people. And his X's and O's were not impressive, but the way he led his people and the way he communicated and the way he ran his program was unreal, and it taught me a great deal. If you have an opportunity to read his book or have any interaction with him, it's worth your time. And all these guys kind of speak for themselves. I would say most of these people are personal friends of mine, only because they hated me first because I bugged them, and then eventually we became friends. But a lot of these people mean a great deal to me on this list. In fact, Dan Paff is a personal friend of mine that, gosh, it doesn't get a lot better from a quality of human being. And so any of these people, if you want to snapshot this, it's worth your time to invest chasing down their knowledge, their publications, and them in person. That's where a lot of the stuff that you're going to see today has come from, the things that they brought to my mind, and then the practices that we've learned from trial and error with over 12,000 athletes in 12 years. In the sports gene. I'd recommend this book for anyone in this industry at all. If you're a teacher, if you're someone that is a coach, if you're a strength and conditioning coach, the reason is because it's incredible perspective. It basically removes the excuses of genetics being the root cause for all athletic performance. It's not true. There's a combination of a number of things, and that's not what my talk is about today, but it's about culture, environment, circumstances, and genetics. And all those things can be affected except genetics. And there are plausible things to challenge there as well. So as we move on, I'll get off of that, but just know there's some pieces of me that I really like outside of speed as well that I really get into. A little bit more about us as you're trying to kind of figure out right now if you should listen to me for the next hour or not. We're out of Tyler, Texas. I started APEC in Tyler, Texas. It will be 12 years ago in March. And it's a little town with a population of 96,000. I can't see very good. I was making sure that's right. But in the course of 11 plus years, we've had over 10,000 clients. I think we're up to around 12,000 now. Over 2,000, at this point, over 2,000 new clients every year, a lot of times. Actually, our retention is about 95% for athletes that are continuing to play. Our busiest months, we have 900 clients in the summer and over 450 clients trained per day. Average month, like right now, we have 300 clients and over 150 clients trained per day. Some of the things that we're proud of, we've gotten the nickname of Beast Texas. You've heard of East Texas athletes. There's a lot of them. We're proud to be a piece of that. We're proud to have been a small part for a lot of those athletes. We've supported the organic development over 150 Division I athletes. It's actually closer to 200 now, and 20 professional athletes through our systems. And what that basically means is we started working with these kids before they played varsity games, before they even played middle school games, and we helped foster their development and be someone that was there for them for the long haul. We've had 2 World Series champions, one that almost won it this year with the Indians, Major League Baseball record holders, perfect game and innings pitched. And we've been blessed with opportunities, okay? We really have, and we've also done a good job. But you got to get those opportunities. We realize that. NFL Super Bowl champions, we've had 2 of them. Pro Bowlers. There was a time this year where we had 2 of the 5 Heisman candidates were from East Texas and from our facility, and Greg Ward and Pat Mahomes, and we couldn't be more proud of those types of things. MMA champions, and probably the thing that we're most proud of is we've had 8 undrafted prospects make NFL teams, and we are really proud of that because those kids mean a lot to us in their journey. In fact, in this number right here, when we started APEC, for those of you that are in the business sector or have aspirations and dreams, we had 13 clients our first summer. That's it. And of those 13 clients, 6 of them went on to eventually play Division I, and one of them pitches for the Yankees. And that is such a cool thing to look back on. So if you got big dreams and things aren't where you want them to right now, stick with it and be dedicated to those people that stuck it out for you. And I'm already rambling, Eugene. Look at that. I'm already rambling. We had a new facility open in Fort Worth, October 8th. It's a peach. It's pretty sweet. That's my team. I think they're the best people in the world. I love them all. We've got 3 different countries, over 68 postgraduate certifications. You name it on personalities. We're all pretty short. None of us were great at athletics. I really look for people, and this is part of the presentation, but I really look for people that, I wouldn't say defective, but it's really hard for someone that was just elite out of the box to understand what it's like to be their client. And so we really look for people that excelled, but it was because of them being an exceptional person, not necessarily their genetic prowess. So genetics are not a bad thing, but our staff is mainly made up of misfits, and I am the king of misfits. I can promise you that. These are our 2 locations. On the left is Tyler, Texas, and on the right is Fort Worth. We didn't start this thing with the $5 million budget or whatever. The first 2 years of APEC, I literally was given permission to work out on a grass parking lot at a private school, and I had broomsticks and I had a vertical machine, measuring machine. That was it, and some stopwatches. So this business has been built on results and relationships. And I would encourage any of you going into business to do the same thing. If you jump it off with a big loan, it's going to end poorly. We built slowly. We built on relationships. We built on results, and we have not made it by any means, but we've come a long way in 12 years. Now, you didn't come to hear me say all that stuff. You came here for a couple things. You're looking for a way to upgrade your strength program. A lot of you, your speed program. Some of you, conditioning, nutrition. That's what you're here for. Now, how many of y'all have ever heard you can't coach speed? Raise your hand. Riley and I were talking about this last night. One of my mentors is Lance Walker, and he's a little more aggressive sometimes. But he says this a lot. If you don't think you can coach speed, this is the way I'll put it. If you don't think you can coach speed, it's because you don't know how to coach speed. All right? That's true. There's a reason why there's highly paid Olympic sprint coaches. There's a reason why certain programs always develop their athletes. There's a reason why some athletes can improve in a track season in the 100 meters by 4/10 in high school, and some don't improve at all. Speed can be coached. It can absolutely be coached, and there are no intangibles. Okay? And we're going to go through some of this. But I guess before we start challenging all this stuff, we got to decide, what is speed? So what is speed? Our industry has really labeled it into something that I think it's not. So is speed a 40-yard dash? No. Do we need to be able to improve the 40-yard dash? Yes. Is the speed defined by the 40-yard dash? Absolutely not. Is speed the pro agility? No, because you can look at quantitative data. You can look at data from the combine. You can look at data from the NBA combine, you can look at data from anything you want. Prescriptive, non-reactive agility drills show you who is good at prescripted, non-reactive agility drills. Okay? That's factual. All right? There was a special on about Woodson last night, right? One of the best football players ever, number 2, Michigan, Heisman from DB. He did not have the best pro agility time at the combine or ever or anything. It's an indicator of hardly nothing except for their ability to get at certain angles and produce strength at those angles. Is that relevant? It's relevant. Are we overrating these things in the industry? Are we misusing the term speed? Yes. So that's part of my mission today, is to break some of those barriers down. L drill. It's a little bit more transverse plane, and it's a little bit more functional than pro agility, but same thing. What about the footwork king? What about the agility ladders and all the fanatical, all the YouTube superhero trainers that are getting all the NFL players right? It's nonsense, okay? We'll talk about that. The footwork showcases. As an industry, do we understand the big picture? And my response to that is no, we do not. We get caught up in fads. We get caught up in what other people tell us. We get caught up in the measurements that are evaluation tools. And we've got to step away from that, because evaluation tools are a byproduct. All right? They're not, it's like, how many of y'all have kids in school right now? Okay, so if you have kids in school, how difficult is it to deal as a parent when you have a school that is only teaching your kid how to take the state-regulated test? Isn't that frustrating? Because you know that's not the kind of learning that you want your child to have. So when we as an industry teach our athletes the standardized state test, which is the 40, the pro agility, all these things, we're doing the same thing. That's not truly learning. That's not truly speed. That's a test. Okay, so we got to get out of that. Now, this is one of my athletes that's dear to me. We've been working with him for a long time. His name's Patrick Mahomes. He's going to go in the draft this year. It's a big secret, I guess, but he's coming out. Okay, hold on. So it's going to show this video upside down, and that's not so it's more impressive to you. It's because we had to convert it from MacBook to this like an hour ago. So hopefully you still get the gist of it. To me, this is speed. Now, Patrick is a 4'8" guy. The world's about to find that out, okay, at best. But you can't touch him in a phone booth. Watch him. So he's moving around. To me, this is speed. Being able to ad-lib, move around, make a play, okay? And this is football. We're not all football. We've got, that's kind of ridiculous, but we're not all about just this. We've got basketball athletes. Jimmy Butler's an athlete of ours, and baseball is probably our biggest sport, but I thought this was an incredible example of what true speed really is. It's reactive, it's reflexive, it's applicable. It's what happens that's going to separate you in a performance room. It's what coaches that don't understand speed call intangibles. The announcer's like, you can't coach that. You can't coach that. And in the 70s, they just picked people that could do that. It can be coached. So what we do as an industry is, and this is upside down, but you guys are going to get the gist of it. We say, all right, speed is a 40. Or some coaches like, I really like the L drill, Well, then we take that and we act like it's our only tool. And our only tool is that hammer. And no matter what the athlete is or the need, and we'll say that's the nail for now, is we just hammer it. Okay? And as you'll see when this video goes on a little further, if your only tool is a nail, and that's what your coach, your sport coach is dead set on, he wants you to make sure you have vertical jumps, or he wants to make sure you have good pro agilities or 300 shuttle times. You got to get the 300 shuttle time right, or the 40. Then that's what you're doing. But if you look, you got different tools, you got different things. The guy's still trying to use his hammer. My God, that's a bolt, okay? You guys get the gist of it? What we're doing as an industry, it's ridiculous when you look at it from the outside and you look at other industries and other applications, how we're approaching speed. It doesn't make any sense. We are really minimizing this and really have taken it and condensed it down to something that it's not. It's a lot more dynamic than what we're doing. And this guy, he starts hammering the toolbox and everything. It's crazy. Look at that. That's like an electrical. It's like condo. I don't know what he's doing, but it's this looks silly to you guys, But it's no different than taking offensive linemen and running 40s 3 times a week, or taking your basketball players and making them run cross country to get in shape or get faster. It's no different than doing those things looking at this video. So let's talk about some speed development basics. So right off the bat, first of all, there's no speed coaches. There's coaches that affect performance, right? So I don't see myself as a speed coach. And I want to knock that out of the way. Right off the bat. To improve speed, you got to get stronger, period. Okay? Speed is no substitute for the weight room. You've got to get stronger in the weight room, and there's a variety of ways that you can get stronger that are applicable to speed. Now, yes, there are measurable components. There are reactive components. There are things that are going to affect your speed in the 10 different than in the 100. And then also in these middle distances as well. But in the weight room, you got to get stronger. I tell my guys all the time, if you can't do a bilateral push that's 2 times your body weight, there is no way you've reached your speed potential, period. I don't care if it's a deadlift or a squat. Now, leg press is more like a 3 times. Bilateral, just 2 legs. So those are things that there are markers out there. Now, there is a point, and I will tell you, there is a point where you can get slower, okay? I know a program. I will not name their name. They are purple, okay? They took one of our guys that was a 4.4 at 220, and they got his squat from 450 up to 780. They did, okay? Now, he got his freshman year, he set records. His sophomore year was a little worse. By his senior year, he was rotating and was about a 4.8 guy at 230. Gained 10 pounds. He could squat 780. Well, good for them, okay? But there's a point where you will get slower because your body has learned what the priority is to lift more at a slower rate of force than to produce speed at a faster rate of force. And that can happen once you get above that 2.5 times your body weight threshold in your lower body. That can really happen. It's a real thing. But, you know, the root basis of training is adaptation. You're going to adapt and become the animal that you are prepared to become. So keep that in mind. I'm an advocate for strength, and you've got to get stronger. And there are weight room, and that's not what our presentation's on today, but there are ways to get faster in the weight room. There's no question about it, even outside of plyometrics. Second bullet point. In order to increase speed, you must move fast. This sounds pretty silly. It sounds like I'm being a smartass up here, but I'm not. Okay? It simply means that you need rest between reps to improve speed of any movement. Know your energy systems. At APEC, we put heart rate monitors on our athletes. If their heart rate is above 65% max heart rate, they don't do their next speed rep. Period. Okay? If you go to any Olympic track setting, when I go visit Dan in Phoenix, those guys might run 4 sprints that day. They're going to sit in the tent for 15 minutes sometimes. And if they've got 8 sprints, it's less than that. But those coaches are going to make sure that they've got their mind focused on the skill of that run, which we completely throw out when we work speed as an industry. The skill of the run, making sure they can actually run fast, because proprioceptively your body is not going to get faster unless you're moving fast enough to get faster. You can't run 40/40s in an hour and a half and get faster. Okay? You are getting in shape to run 40/40s. Is that applicable to you? Well, if you run a hurry-up offense and you're playing next week, it is. But if it's in January and you play in August, it's the stupidest thing ever. Okay? So, next bullet point. Speed is a skill. It has most to do with how well one can use gravity and body weight as a resource. It can be learned, coached, gained, and lost. That's a fact. I've had kids get faster. I've had kids get slower. And not many metrics have changed. Vertical jump the same, broad jump the same, weight the same, squat the same, everything the same. It is a skill. If you don't believe it, it's because you don't know how to coach it. And it has mainly to do with your ability to work with gravity and horizontal forces. That is a skill set. You can't get that in the squat rack. You can't get that from plyometrics. You have to work on the skill of speed, especially in acceleration. Body weight does not affect speed as much as body fat. If you are really fat, it is slowing you down. You're going to run slower carrying suitcases, okay? You're going to run slower carrying suitcases. No question about it. You can look at the NFL Combine over the course of time. You can look at the Olympics over the course of time. I mean, there's guys that run the 100 in the Olympics that the body types are so diverse that you cannot say that there is a body type for speed. You can't. There's long jumpers in the Olympics this year, and I saw these guys work out. Fabrice, I forget where he's from, and then the guy from England that won the gold last Olympics, Greg Reynolds, they're working out side by side. Greg is 230 pounds, long jumper, okay, 6'2", and Fabrice is 5'9", 138 pounds. They are both right off the world record. So there's no body type. By the way, you have to have speed. You got to be able to run to long jump. There is no, but the thing is, what's in common with these guys? They're both lean. Their body fat is the same. So when you're lean, you can take that mass, and that can help you produce the correct amount of force to produce more speed. But no one has ever benefited from body fat. Now, I know there's certain type of ethnicities that do a lot better with movement and body fat. That is factual, okay? And the only reason that is because their body has adapted to be able to move better as a skill set with that amount of body fat. It doesn't mean that that's good. They would still be faster with less body fat, and it depends. Now, speed development will enhance strength qualities. When you are sprinting full speed, your body is producing at minimum 7 times the amount of body weight per step in force production. You can do the math on that, but that's more than your max squat. So if you want to get stronger, sprinting is one of the very best ways, maximal sprints, one of the very best ways to get stronger. That's absolutely factual. Okay, that is physiological. And if you are really moving, you can be up to 15 times your body weight per step. And you have to really produce a lot of force and be a very fast athlete to do that. Speed development basics continued. That's at our facility in Tyler. Plyometrics. Targeted power development in concert with the right movement skills will collectively enhance speed. So none of those isolated are going to actually produce speed. Now, what always cracks me up is when you'll see a guy that meets some dude somewhere, and maybe he's the footwork king or whatever. All right, the guy's like a pro bowler already, and then he comes out there, and all of a sudden these drills make you really fast. It's like, all right, well, Le'Veon Bell was pretty good before. He quit smoking weed and eating Cheetos, and he's a pro bowler. Okay, that's what really happened here. All right, so you look at this, and there's a lot of things that go into it. Speed combines power, suppleness, reactivity plus skill. Reactivity and skill together. Suppleness has been a lost art in our industry. That is not just flexibility. It's the art of moving through phases in mobility, flexibility, and stability, and not expending too much energy doing that. Suppleness, look it up. That's a key word that we need to get back to in this industry. For someone to improve speed through technique, correction, they must complete the stages of learning a skill. I don't care if you're learning how to get your handgun license, or motorcycle, or being a speed coach, or being someone that needs to get faster. You got to go through these 4 phases. Unconscious incompetence. You don't know that you're terrible at something. That's what that means. Okay? Conscious incompetence. I'm telling you, you're terrible at this. That now you're like, oh, that's stage 2. Number 3, conscious competence. I'm communicating with you what needs to be fixed, and you are doing it correctly. Okay, that's step 3. And step 4 is unconscious competence, which basically means you're no longer thinking about it. I'm no longer communicating about it, but you are nailing it. Bam. It's like a carpenter that's been doing things for a long time, things that you look at and you're like, oh my God, I'd cut my hand off. And he's just like, sitting here. Same thing. That's unconscious competence. You got it down. That's what we're all going for when we coach speed. And the last but not least, the laws of physiology do not care what kind of offense you run. I don't care if you run Mike Leach's version of no huddle, or if you're a full court press basketball team. God Almighty, the creator of our human bodies, does not care. That's physiology. You're going to get faster from doing things that apply to speed, or you're not. So you don't need to try to just get fast and mold it to around your offense. Okay, that's conditioning. Those are 2 different things. If you want to physiologically affect speed, then you got to coach and direct speed. And then when you want to do conditioning, it needs to be on a different menu at a different time. You can't do both at the same time. All right? And I know that there's been a lot of correlations in people doing that, and it's not silly. It's not silly to condition for your offense or your defense or whatever it is that you're facing. But it is silly to think that that's your speed development tool. Okay? Now let's get into the juice a little bit. Linear acceleration. So what is linear acceleration? Well, it depends on what your sport is. If you're in basketball, it's probably 0 to 4 yards most of the time. Okay? It could be up to 20 yards. If you're a football player, 0 to 60 is acceleration work a lot of the time. If you're in track and field, it could be through 100 meters. Now you're not gonna hold your acceleration through that. I'm just talking about the term itself. And really, acceleration, when it breaks down, is it's about how much ground force an athlete can utilize and produce, both of those things, compared with their body weight. And that's going to give you acceleration. Okay? And we know even more importantly, their lean body mass than their body weight in that equation. Most think of the 40 when we talk about acceleration. I'd say in our industry that's pretty standard. 40 is what you think of there. If you really break it down and you're talking about 4 or 5 guys, which is kind of the standard for hybrid to skill athletes in most sports, 4 or 5 stopwatch, okay, 4 or 7 other. 0 to 10 yards, it should be about 6 steps. Some guys up to 8 for that. 10 to 20, it should take them 5 steps to cover that distance. 20 to 30, 4 to 5. 30 to 40, 4 to 5. They say Bo Jackson ran it in 12. They say Dion ran it in 13. I wasn't there, I don't know, but I think that it's plausible. I mean, you look at Bolt, he runs 100 in 8 less steps than the second place person. And so there's got to be some truth to that. And you got to be careful about communicating those things to people, because then you get athletes, and we'll talk about this later, that really overextend and try to create distance. You want distance to be created through force production and technique, not through incorrect biomechanics and technique. But if you're videoing a kid and he takes 13 steps through 10 yards, you know you got a problem. That's the gist of this. Okay. Acceleration techniques stand alone because you're generating momentum from a still position. So it's different than a lot of things. You're in the sport of basketball, you're always in transition when you need speed. In the sport of soccer, you're always in transition when you need speed. But acceleration stands alone, and there is a start and there is a go. And you need to go on the G and go, not the O. You know what I'm saying? It's a different component. And just because acceleration is not a part of your sport doesn't mean that it's not applicable, because acceleration is going to produce more power from a wattage standpoint than any power clean or snatch ever could. So you need acceleration for soccer players, you need acceleration for volleyball players, and for baseball and everyone else. Regardless of if it's something that actually happens in their sport, it's about power development. 50-50 ratio on resisted accelerations versus non-resisted. If you're going to do resisted acceleration drills, make sure that person doesn't become a plow horse, because plow horses are slow. Okay? You want to be a thoroughbred, so you got to at least be a thoroughbred half the time. And that's a physiological research-based thing, not just a preference of mine. Okay? Keep in mind, because we got a lot of coaches out there that have some misinformation, and anytime they want to work on acceleration, what are you doing? You're dragging tires, right? Get the dogs out, let's go, you know. It's like, well, you know, Huskies would be faster if they weren't always dragging sleds. You can't do that, okay? So try to keep it to 50-50 right there. Minimum 90 seconds rest, even inside of 10 yards. Guys, if you really want acceleration, and you're doing true acceleration drills, and your kids are giving max effort, male, female, if you're not giving more than 90 seconds, you're not working speed, okay? You're doing Tabata, you're doing intervals, okay? Not it. Now here's some cues that I really love that are near and dear to my heart, and then we'll talk about some that aren't on here. Take off like a jet, not like a helicopter. Mow the grass with your shoes. In acceleration, keep your feet low. One of the athletes that was the very best acceleration ever was Emmitt Smith. Was he a timeable 40 guy? No, really didn't do very great. But how if you go look at film, inside of the box, you know, until he got to the safeties, how low were his feet? So low. So low. You look at a good sprinter in the Olympics, one that has great technique, their feet are so low. You want a low foot position because your feet get back on the ground and you can continue to develop vertical forces in a horizontal plane there. Okay? Tear off your sleeves. You want violent motions. I tell my guys all the time, when I'm filming you, it should be rated R. Okay? Break the glass, that's a cue for the knees. And the glass is down there. Break the glass. Top of your head is a bullet. You don't shoot a bullet up when you're going this way. It doesn't shoot like this, it shoots like that. So in acceleration, the top of your head is a bullet. Don't look at your feet now, look at where they're going. First 3 steps are a 50 cal, not a 22. How many of y'all seen the newest Rambo? You see when he got on that 50 cal? Right? So the guy shooting on, okay? We're not shooting 22s or machine guns. You're shooting 50 cals off the block. 50 cals take time, but they do damage. So it's whoop, whoop. Same thing when you're running. The feet can be on the ground longer. You have to perfect each step. Each step is a skill and acceleration. Finish the step. Do it correctly. Tractor tire arms. That's referring to the big range of motion you want off the line. It's big. Big. Lay carpet with knees. That's talking about the angle of the knees. Lay carpet. Drive those knees down. If you start driving up off the line, you're going to have guys that top out too quick. You don't want a lot of rise off acceleration. You don't want a lot of height in the knees or step over an acceleration. As far as progressions, these are some simple ways you can look at it, and you can fill in the blank with 100 drills, okay? Start off with wall drills, sled drags, and pushes. All you're doing is teach people how to deal with gravity and force, horizontal forces. That is important, but you can't stay there, okay? You can return to it, but you can't stay there. That's not speed. Marches, skips, bounds, overhead resistance. The reason these are important is about self-calibration, because really speed is a balance in some ways between how stiff you can be and how lax you can be. So there's a hydraulic system in your joints, and there's a self-calibration that happens when you skip, march, bound. Your body learns to calibrate what's best for you. Dan has a lot of great things out on this, and I think those things are important. Think about it this way. Think about your marches, skips, and bounds like this. Steph Curry, he can handle the ball well, right? We know he can shoot, but he can handle the ball well. Handling the ball well in a game and in practice and things in competition situations is the very best way to learn how to handle the ball well. But Steph does a ton of drills. Why does he do drills? So his body can self-calibrate to those movements. So when he needs those things in his head, it just comes to him. That's the same thing with marches, skips, and bounds. Is that speed, truly? No. It's about building a toolbox in your body to where your body can access speed. It's skills. You're building skills. It's like doing a brain gym at the beginning of anatomy class. Okay? Same thing. Starts. Don't just marry one type of start. Split stance, 40-form start, ground, position, specific resistance, over speed. There's a lot of things you can do. And then what my favorite, now you've got to really get athletes down the road, okay? Don't do this with a beginner, but I love to superset plyometrics with full speed sprints and then give them maximum rest in between. Because what you're doing is proprioceptively, you're loading a gun and then you're shooting a bullet. And it's incredible application of power and strength to speed. If you can get to that point, you're not going to be able to do a lot of reps, but you are going to really make some improvements on speed. In a lot of body types especially, your hybrid to big body types, they're going to improve speed twofold when you get to that. It's incredible. It's a lot of fun. And then finally, reactive stimulus. No, you need to learn, some of your athletes chase better than some of them, and some of them lead better. That's a real thing. There's reactive stimulus in all types of speed. Absolute speed. Now, be careful coaching a non-track athlete in 2 types of linear speed. All right? You can have an athlete that looks good here, and then all of a sudden they pop up and look like they're in a high knee drill, and you do not want that, okay? Track athletes have time to understand it and time to work on it, but I wouldn't go into 2 types of linear speed with a football athlete, or he's gonna make a fool of himself when he runs a 40. It's too short of a distance to run 2 different races, okay? But in absolute speed, there are some things to consider. You're actually running at this point. So for most athletes, 40 to 70 yards is when this is happening. Peter Wayans got some great research out there. He basically proved that the higher you raise the hammer when you're upright and the harder you hit the ground, the faster you run. Now, there's some complicated facts to that as well, but I thought that was cool to get. And then the other thing that's pretty obvious is get your feet off the ground, okay? The faster you're moving your feet, the faster you're going to move. Top-end speed development training improves strength at neurological levels. So if you have volleyball players, doing top-end sprints is still beneficial, because what happens is that the amount of foot speed that you have to have proprioceptively is going to speed up all your other reactive stimuluses, which is like a jump, okay? Anything else? So top end speed and doing top end sprints is applicable for every type of athlete because of the electrical and neurological demands that it creates. Completely different than acceleration. So once you get out to this point, the systems are changing and you're actually creating more of a reactive stimulus, things that are going to affect any athlete that needs reaction speed. Lower body, or actually for speed endurance, hold for greater than 3 seconds. So if you are going for endurance, you got to hold for longer than that. Lower body must hit figure 4 position. This is your figure 4 position. Basically, I tell people you got to step over the knee. Okay, you don't want a straight leg here, obviously bent. You want to be coiled. Okay, you never see an animal that's got straight joints. We're an animal. Okay, step over the knee. That's your figure 4 position. If you take a freeze frame, every athlete should hit this every stride. They should be there. Okay, if they're only getting here, you're going to have issues and problems. They're going to affect speed, and you're also going to have mechanical breakdown. Upper body mechanics mimic lower body mechanics. In the 90s, I coached speed. My coach coached me, and it was like, how many of y'all seen Terminator 2? Y'all know the cop? He's chasing the dude on the bike, and it's crazy. Like right here, right? The 90 degrees, and like you can tell Tom Cruise gets a speed coach before his movies, and he's all running like this. Like, come on, man. So that's not how the body works. If you really look at the lower body, and you look at Olympic sprinters, it's a reflective, reactive system. You have tendons and ligament structures that are attached to fascia that run from your heel all the way to the tip of your head. And if you watch Usain Bolt when he runs, it's insane how much movement he gets in his shoulders. They almost pop into his ears. Like it's loose, man. It's loose. And if you watch your arms are like broomsticks. You want to hit the ground as hard as you can. Boom, boom, like you're cleaning the ground. So it's more of a chopping motion and vertical motion than a horizontal force motion. Because when you do this, you're going to create imbalances where you're overreaching or you're dragging. And that's when kids get tuberosity issues or hip flexor issues, or they're just slow, which is even worse. All right? So the 90-90 is a myth. Your upper body mechanics and acceleration, they're bigger. Okay? When you're upright, look at my knee from the side. Now look at my right elbow from the side. The angle from the shin, okay, from my calf to my hamstring should be the same as from my forearm to my bicep. Boom. So when I hit the ground, there's force. Where should there be force? Here and here. Boom. Same time. I mean, I've taught thousands of kids wrong. You just got to look at it and see that this is biomechanics, chain reaction biomechanics. Post-fall pull, a good friend of mine, Dr. Romanoff. He curses a lot. He's really smart. You should read his books. He's got a method called the pose method, and it's incredible. It's simple. It's difficult to communicate, but it is very important to understand. And it's basically this: pose, fall, pull. That's sprinting to him. That's running to him. That's marathons to him. That's everything. He's had a lot of success. Running on a globe, that's a good word picture. If you're on a globe and you spin that thing, that's a great way to teach someone how to be upright and sprint. Okay, you can't spin a globe. If you step out here, you're off the globe, all right? And we got a lot of sprinters that loaf and do that, and they're good athletes, but they have frequent injuries, and they're not as fast as they could be. And then heavy belt, stay tall, lean into the wind. Those are things I like to cue when I'm telling people how to run when they're out of that acceleration phase. Drills, you're going to see a lot of the repeats, okay? Wall drills, ankle drills, which I'll show you. Fall drills, single leg drills, 1-2-1, step overs, overhead resistance. Those are all great drills to teach the body how to create vertical forces while you're moving with speed horizontally. And that's really what top end speed is about. It really is. Because you want airtime. Build-ups, wickets, which I'm going to show you. Flying runs. And you can take a picture of this and look any of these up. They're out there. There's tons of variations. Morph runs. One of my favorite things to do is to take one of our bounding exercises and do that for 15 to 20 yards and then bleed into another 40-yard run. Because it's so cool how the body's loaded and you're going to see optimal reactivity and reflexive nature from that athlete into that run. And you're really going to see how good they can be if they run correctly when you're able to bleed those. Now that is, again, not a beginner exercise. These are progressed from top to bottom. But those things can really show you how an athlete can be if they're strung the right way. if we've wired them the right way. Long distance running, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I would refer a lot to the Pose method. They've got an online platform that's incredible for applications and prescriptions and if this, then this. But the gist of it is, to me, is this, is runners run too much, okay? You don't need to train 6 days a week for a 5K or a half marathon or a marathon or even an Ironman. And they need to get in the weight room and they need to focus on the skill of running. Those are the two things. They really only, a runner for any competition, it doesn't matter what it is, does not have to run more than 2 days a week. I can prove that. I have proven that with multiple clients. And somebody challenged me and I did a marathon one time and I'll never do it again, ever. But I just wanted to prove it, that you can train 1 day a week and do that, these things. And you can. And you can do it on a high level. And Mark Verstegen has some good things out there on endurance as well. But a lot of the same things for your top end speed apply here. Multiplanar speed and power development. Now, it says power development, but when you're talking about change of direction, if you want to improve an athlete's change of direction, you need to improve their rotary power. So medicine ball throws are going to be just as key as any drill you could ever do. Being able to develop your athletes in all planes of motion. There are 3 planes of motion. Now, most strength and conditioning coaches train in the sagittal plane. Here, 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 here. That's all the sagittal plane. I had a CrossFitter get into it with me online one time, and he's like, so you're telling me that clings, push, press, bench are all sagittal plane? Yeah, I am. You got to get out of the sagittal plane. You need to work in the frontal plane and the transverse plane in a variety of type of skills if you want to improve change of direction speed. Medicine ball throws, rotational reaches, even things in warm-ups. That's going to help cross over. If you want to stay in the sagittal plane, your athletes will get beat by lesser athletes that work in all 3 planes of motion. Watch it happen every Saturday, okay? Chain reaction biomechanics cannot be ignored when you talk about change of direction. There is 26 bones in the foot, 208 bones, all these things, over 2,100 joint variations. That's what Gary Gray told me. He's pretty smart. He's weird, but he's smart. And if there's that many, how come we're only working in 3 as an industry? You got to get out of that. So, chain reaction biomechanics take into account the foot, the thoracic spine, which is what I like to refer to your spinal engine. When you sprint, your right shoulder's going forward, your left hip is going forward, or your left side of your hip is going forward. So there's a winding through your spinal engine, your thoracic spine. So when you sprint, there is a coordinated factor with your core that is going to help you either increase speed or decrease speed. Now that's not a sit-up, okay? So if a baseball athlete wants to hit the ball harder, one of the very best things they can do is sprint. Why? Because you're priming and improving and lubricating that spinal engine, and that is something that they use. All right? There's crossover all over the place. So back to my change of direction. I'm rambling again, Eugene. Come on, man. I'm rambling again. All right, agility and footwork. So we've all seen the Footwork King and all the crazy drills. And let me tell you, from a physiological standpoint, the ladder, any kind of 30-second footwork drill, anything that is as creative or as bro science as you want it to be, it is the exact same thing as sitting in right here and jump roping. Okay? Am I on a witch hunt for the ladder? No, I have ladders. It's great for kids to learn accuracy of foot placement. Is it going to make them more agile? No, it's a building block. It's just like wall drills for sprints. So I'm not on a witch hunt for it. But it's the same as jumping rope, and it's the same as just building your foundation. And these footwork drills that these people are doing 20, 30 seconds, that is a complete waste of time because you can do the same thing with a ladder or a jump rope. It's nonsense. Okay? And what you got is you got a bunch of NFL players leading the charge on this because they don't want to lift weights and really work out. So they want to go work out with this guy 2 times a week and tell their coach how good those footwork drills are, when really they just never got in an hour of movement 2 times a week in the off season. And that's why they're improving. So this is all something you don't need to chase down the rabbit hole. The kids are into it, but they don't understand. And results are going to speak to them more than anything. So agility kind of represents a category of drills. It's not really a movement classification, and we got to do better communicating this. But non-reactive agility is just like we said, like the pro agility. it's a pre-programmed cone drill that you can take someone that's not a great athlete and they can get really good if they're a good learner and they listen and they practice, they can time well on it. We've seen this. You've all got that model student athlete that can run a 4.1 pro agility, and like in the open field, it's like you can't even touch the guy's socks. You know, what are we doing here? Okay? So what we really need is agility drills that can get us in and out of positions, but not truly applicable to dynamic speed. So with these cone drills, that can teach the body positions. Okay? It's like doing a front squat to prepare you for a clean. Should you do that? Yeah, most likely. That's important in every case. So are these agility drills applicable? Yeah, but it's not your finish line. Okay? Shin angles. You want your shins pointed where you're going to make a cut. Center of mass should be directed where you want to go, not where you are. All right? So if I want to go here, boom, and I'll show you some stuff out there. Arms should be moving and not stagnant. Still arms, when you freeze your arms, you freeze your spinal engine. When you freeze your spinal engine, your hips are not moving. All right? You can have great feet all you want, but if you're not a weapon from head to toe, you're not moving as fast as you could be. Footwork fad. I've beat this. I need to move on. So, all right. Best way to challenge, or best way to change direction, well, good plyometric progression that is three-dimensional, okay, and diverse strength development is going to improve your agility more than any drill you could ever do. And that's coming from a guy labeled as a speed coach. It's absolutely true. Because if you do a correct plyometric progression that's three-dimensional and you have good variations in dynamic strength training, that's going to prepare your body for every angle of force. And that's all change of direction is being able to quickly access different angles of force production to move. That's it. Receive and take. That's it. That's it. That's it. Progressions. We have ball drills and different positions. There's footwork, non-reactive cuts. We've talked about some of this. You guys know enough to go get that. There's a couple of guys at my Tyler facility. Multi-directional speed. Now, most agility drills are point to point, but what you got to understand is most big time plays in any sport create some type of circling or transverse movement. Would everyone here agree? Steve Nash didn't create a career off of outrunning people, but he could circle around that pick faster than anybody that ever played that game. Everybody agree on that? You look at great soccer players, Messi, some of these guys. Are they going to outrun everybody? Some of them can, but really what makes them special is their ability to round things out and make plays. Okay? So these type of drills create more of a circling or transverse type of movement. They're multi-directional, not just agility drills. These are important. So and one of the things you can do, and I think where you got to go with this, and I'm going to show you a couple of very basic examples, is you got to get to where things are reactive. So you need to build the angles. You need to do non-reactive, but then you got to get into reactive component drills. When you get into those reactive component drills, you are actually making your athletes faster in those situations. That's when it's really happening. So that's what you really got to get to. And I'll give you some examples. And again, and I've talked about this, but the reaction being so important. But there's no reaction under tension. And I'm going to show you some things that are going to help with some of these things. But really, think of your body as a hydraulic system. Okay? You know, everybody's ridden in those old Cadillacs where the air shocks are out. It's like, okay. And then y'all ridden in some like I get to ride in Riley's truck. Okay. That's pretty good ride, you know. So you're sitting there and that's different. Think of your body that way. Hydraulic system. There's no tension in a good hydraulic system. There doesn't need to be any tension when you're working on agility either. Okay? Think about this. When you touch a hot stove right here, you're going to pull your hand back before you actually think about it, right? That's reflexive, reactive. There's a lot of drills you can do to build the reflexive and reactive components of the body. Okay? That's what we need if you want to get faster. And the reason is because proprioceptively, your tendons and ligaments are going to react 10 times faster than a muscle contraction. So if you feel a sprint in your glute and you are focused on glute activation for speed, that boat has sailed, man. Speed really comes from the reactive components. So those are things you need to focus on. I'm going to show you some tools to work on them basically. Vectors. I'm going to go over vectors. I love vectors. We have these drawn down. Y'all can take a picture of this. Basically, you can lay tape down. But our deal is, as an athlete, it needs to be able to balance in all 8 of these directions. They need to be able to reach in all each of these directions. They need to be able to jump, jop, which I'm going to show you, crossover, leap, you name it. Because this is a foundation of movement, of three-dimensional movement. And it's applicable to every single sport in the world. And so I'm going to show you all these variations. I love that thing. So I have them taped, or I have them painted down, and then I've got a level 1 circle, a level 2 circle, and a level 3 circle. And you can go as fanatical with you want. Does anybody need that again? All right, one more time. Sorry, Riley, I'm trying. All right, I'm trying to get there. Sometimes I run late. All right, locomotion is next. I won't do a lot of locomotion today. I have some friends in my fellowship that really go nuts with this stuff. Locomotion is basically a way to progress just basic dynamic movements that challenge your brain. Like think brain gym for athletes. So I'm going to try not to break this, but walk on the right leg, skip on the left. Okay? Same thing here. It's locomotion. It's just brain gym, proprioceptively waking you up. Now it can get really crazy. Skunioka, all right? A skip with the run and a karaoke at the same time. And I can show you that over there if you want. And if some of y'all are feeling lucky, you can do it. But basically, you're just trying to challenge the brain to proprioceptively tap into some things that are going to actually happen. Because, guys, when you're doing a speed ladder or you're doing some of these drills, that's not really, and you can say, well, that doesn't really cross over. That's true, but not for the reasons you may think. When you're in sport, the timing of your foot placement in reaction to what's actually going on is a huge skill. And anybody that has excelled at a sport where there's open field challenges and agility knows that, okay? That's an incredible skill to have to be able to manipulate space. The thing about locomotion is you're moving through space, so it's all specific to your body. So this is a good tool as well. And I can show you some of these things. As we go on, I'll just pick some out and any of y'all can try them. That's in Tyler. I'm doing a reaction drill. Now, from this picture, would you guys say they're ahead or behind on reaction? They're still going the wrong way, all right? And so I'm trying to be ahead of them. And if you want, this is what I would suggest. We're going to go over there now, and I want you to take a picture of this so when you watch what we're doing, that you guys can have some point of reference. Now, I did not put locomotion on there. Quite honestly, I will probably do it last, and we can do it as a group, whoever wants to participate, okay? And I'm not narcissistic. I didn't name those things after me. My people did, okay? That is my last name, but I'm just not just like, all right, Stroupe skip sequence today. I didn't do that. But they've kind of become known as that. So at this time, if everybody's, first of all, before we go over there, does anybody have any general questions that you don't think will be answered on the practical? Because I typically will do just a lecture or just a practical, and today I'm trying to give you all a little both. Yes, sir.
You might have answered this earlier, but really to get better, how often a week you really work on the speed component? I know the strength part, but the speed component is how?
That's a fantastic question. So speed has a little bit different neurological demand on the body and requires more recovery time. And so I think 48 hours between true speed sessions is really, really smart. In fact, if you want to look at our programming, really what we have is a potentiation day, which would be considered like it would be a day that you would do cleans or plyometrics or some type of really dynamic movement. We typically do that the first day of the week. That way the neurological system's primed. It'd be like priming a bullet. And then on Tuesday, we do true speed work. Now on Monday, we may have done some conditioning, you know what I mean? But not true speed work. Tuesday, real speed work. Now Wednesday, typically we'll do some type of regeneration work. We don't believe in recovery and rest days, but we'll do regen, like a renewing of the tissues, dynamic movement, some 3D movements in different directions. Come back Thursday, we'll do another potentiation day. So from a strength standpoint, it would be something that we would really hit hard. And then Friday, come back and do speed. Now to go further into that, on Tuesday, we would do speed first, and then go lift maximally, like max effort lifting, like stuff that you guys would consider strength training. Because the thing is if you fry the body on strength training, like heavy squats on a Monday, you're not going to truly, like really heavy squats, 5 to 8 sets or whatever y'all want to do, you're really not going to truly get the maximum benefits from speed on a Tuesday. So to answer your question, I think it's sufficient with most dynamic sport athletes to do 2 times a week. And I would space it out at least one day. If you can space it out 2 days, that's ideal. Some body types, some sports, depending on what your weight room demands are, maybe 3 times a week for true speed development. Even Olympic athletes, they have days where they focus on the skill of movement and they don't really do full speed sprints or full speed drills. Because neurologically, you just can't always, you're not going to be able to produce that on a daily basis, no matter who you are. And the faster you get, the harder it is to replicate it more times a week. It's a great question.
You said on Wednesdays you do the rejuvenate day, and what did you do for the Thursdays and Fridays?
Thursday, we do another potentiation day. So plyometric focus, power focus, a lot of heavy med ball throws, speed type movement, bounding, things like that. Things that are progressive and are speed skills, but we don't really sprint. It's kind of like loading the gun. Think of it like this, pulling the rubber band back, and then the next day letting it go. You could do that within the same day. That's just how we do a lot of our programming with our professionals and people that we have access to. Now, athletes that we only work with 2 times a week, we just do the whole session like that. We prime them in the beginning, we do speed, then we focus on power, blow that out, and do strength last. Because we only have them 2 times a week. So we space those out, if that helps for point of reference as well. Good question. Anybody else? Well, let's move around a little bit. We're going to head into the other room, the lab. So how do you want to take them, Coach? You want to? Okay, so somebody lead everybody in there, and then I'll take this. I'm going to walk through, and then we'll. This is for the purposes of learning, not for the purposes of us tracking performance of your
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully y'all won't do the same for me. But let's all do this. And like I said, you can paint these down, but it's really easy to picture it as well. You guys all spread out. This is what I tell my athletes, and you guys are getting this situation too. Is spread out all the way around. Now you want to be far enough away from everybody that you can kick, slap, spit, or punch them. All right? All right, so we're going to do the vectors first because this is very applicable to everybody. It's very easy to do anywhere. So what I want you to envision is that you have 8 lines coming through. Basically, you have a cross. Okay? So picture in your mind you have a cross and an X. Everybody see that? Let's just do the cross first. And we're going to do reaches. So you're going to reach at ankle level. Keep your base foot down. Reach at ankle level as far as you can. And you can utilize your body. Think of your body as a hydraulic system. Go as far as you can forward, everybody. Okay? Now come upright, and go as far as you can backwards. Keep your chest up. Stay stable. Don't feel the stability components. Now we're going to go to the right. Okay. And look, don't be rigid, like personal trainer guy. So keep your knee over your toe. Well, damn, man, have you ever seen a strain? Like, something's going to happen. we ever going to prepare him for that? So now cross behind. Reach, y'all feel that? Okay, good. Now let's go angle. So we have angle, we have an X now. We're going to go angle right here. Got here. Okay, train first. So you're going to open your head to this one. There we go here. All right. So try to go out there, try to literally not touch the ground, and come back. Okay, early. All right. Now we're going to cross behind at an angle. And I call this one soccer kick. Yeah. Okay. And you're going to go out here. It's very hard. Okay? Now switch legs. And I'm going to just kind of watch you go through. Now see if you can memorize. So cross first. You go forward and back and side to side. That's it. Ankle level reach. These are just called balance reaches. Now you guys can tell them this is harder than it looks, correct? Feel your body get warm, your lower body warming up. So this is the tendon ligament structure. Talk about that reflexive state. Once you go through your cross, give me an X. Yep. Remember, reach an ankle level. Don't look up here. Because what I'm looking to do is get a full hydraulic system prime working. Sweet. Okay. Now let's table that. Now get back on the other leg. Now let's do balance reaches with your upper body. This is a completely different chain reaction. And once you're reaching at belly button level, just go forward. Might try that. Now, we're going to go straight back. Side, right. Side, left. Now let's go our X. So we'll go with both hands out, straight forward. How many of you feel your hamstring focusing on decelerating rotation? And some of your back as well, right? The hamstring is a rotary muscle. I'm not going to get it. I'm going to ramble with you. I go to the other side. Okay. Now, last but not least, you got two others. You're going to go one hand, rotate over. It's very hard to do. And then rotate over the other. And what you're going to feel is all the muscles that decelerate that rotation. Very important. Okay. So that's one. And I'm looking at the watch. All right. Next thing is step. So let's just step forward, back, side, back, straight back, and step over. Okay. That's easy. It's a step. Okay. Now let's do our ankles. Step and ankle. Now transverse step. Step and ankle. Simple. Now add arm swings to it. Okay. Step and ankle. Swing your arms in. Transverse. Swing your arms in. Now show me to step over. Swing your arms overhead. You guys feel different muscles activating, different things happening. Chain reaction. It's kind of silly, goofy, but it helps build athleticism. Small way. Okay. Now things are going to get a little different. Okay. Now we're going to jump with it. So let's just jump on 2 feet. Forward, back. Simple. Now give me a transverse left. So it's going to be here in this pocket. Good. Okay. That's pretty simple, right? Okay. Now what I want to do is what we call a jump. Actually, we're going to do leaps. So let's focus like we have an X. Again, we're on the X part of it. X, X. So you're going to jump. A leap is basically jumping from one leg to the other. So jump from the left to the right, and from the right back to the left. Right. At an angle. Now, I want you to go transverse to the left. Think about that X. You're going to go here, land, and then back. That's it. You guys feel that? And you see how you can do all 8. I'm not going to do that to them, okay? Now, the next thing that we like to do is called a jog. So you go from 2 to 1. So a jog is a jump to a hop. Hop being one leg, jumping to 2. So 2, 1. Back to 2. Like you land on a trampoline. And on your whole foot. Okay? Now I'm going to go all the way around the block. So I'm going to do all 8 real quick. Watch me. Want to give a shot? 2 to 1 on your right leg all the way around. You got 8 points. Lay on 2, you lay back. Right, good. It's tricky, right? So lay on 2. So when you go into those medial jumps, you got some of the stability bumps in there. It's a really good tool. So if you have someone coming off ACL, any type of ankle injuries, starting with balance reaches, when they master it, go to the steps. Go to the leaps. Then go to the jumps. So that would be vectors. Now everybody else, line it up, or all you guys line up on this line right here. We're going to move on to the next. And this is jump movement. So Dan Papp made this famous. He's a good friend of mine. And remember how we talked about the reactive and reflexive components we want to build? And there's fascia from your calcaneus, your heel, all the way to the back of your head. There are strips of fascia that scientists have found that connect all the way up. And then there's electrical signals that go all the way up. So what I'm basically in essence saying is, if we can build the electric system, that's going to affect speed more than the muscular system in a lot of ways. So what we need to do is teach the body how to have that hydraulic component. You want to have the right balance between stiffness and being lax. Okay? And that is about self-calibration. So this is one of the things that we do often, 3 times a week, a lot of times. It's very, very simple. Keep this in mind. No matter what I ask you to do not use your muscles. Use your body like it's an elastic machine. You ever seen those power balls like you're at CC's or something? I don't know CC's. You turn the knobs, the power ball comes out, and you drop it, bounces everywhere. That's how you think of your body. Think your body's elastic system from heels up. So we're going to do a 2-foot movement. We have a fancy name for this called double leg. That's it. Alright, see how the whole body is kind of popping out the ground like on a trampoline? I don't want to see you foot contact from your toe all the way to your heel, and I want you to act like your feet are trampolines. Boom, boom, boom. We're just going 5 yards. That's it. It's not about height, it's about reactivity. Full foot contact. If you land on the balls of your feet, you're wrong. Relax. And you're going to go backwards. Same thing. Relax, relax. I want to see you bounce off the ground. No effort. Your shoulders should be popping. Like this. Like a good runner, their shoulders are popping up to their ears. Good. And we're going to single leg. Go right leg. Don't use your muscles. Get a rhythm. Let your body, it's called self-calibration. Let your joints, let your muscles self-calibrate. Go backwards, really. See, I'm kind of warming y'all up when you're going back here. Kind of warming me up. All right, you guys get it. Comfortable both legs there. Now, I want to do it alternating. This is something to bring a little more coordination. We go right, right, left, left. Let's see. Full foot contact. This is what challenge is that. Yep. Good. Now go back. Got a little more straight in there, though. Yep. All right, now medial. Turn face this way. So, guys, we get plenty of lateral. Would everybody agree? So, a lot of times at the same time, I just do medial. Medial meaning if I'm going right, I use left, so it protects you against those balance forces here. So, just medial right here. All the way right. Keep your shoulders square, big head square. And going back. Right leg, sorry guys. Right leg going back, you're still medial. Now, this is rudiment, but look, you can make all this as crazy as you want. You can do this, you can do this, but I stick with the basics because what I'm looking for is a physiological adaptation where my athletes' bodies are more reflexive and reactive, and it costs them less energy. And that's why we feel like that we get a lot of the Greg Wards out of Houston, who we've had forever, and the Patrick Mahomes, and Jamil Shaw, some of these guys, because they've been doing this for so long, their body just kind of reacts to things and situations. And it's that intangible thing that people don't think you can train that I think is nonsense. That you can train. All right, now we're going to do the skip sequence that I mentioned. Okay, the first thing I do, now I like to do is a low skip. You want to have cycle in your knees. You really want to just bounce off the ground, watch my shoulders, put my arms on my sit here. You just want to come off the ground about 2 inches, acceleration, right? Okay, you bounce, just like that. Let's continue on with that low skip. You're going to contact your whole foot. Whole foot. Cross right here. Keep your feet about shoulder width. You're going to continue on this. And it takes some athletes a while to learn how to skip. Now, when you break, go ahead, relax. When you break the skip down, it's just this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. As they get more skilled at it, they'll learn how to be more reactive. Okay, going backwards. Full foot contact. Let's see. And this generation didn't get Michael Jackson or what's his name? MC Hammer. So when you're talking about skipping and you're talking about warm-ups, one thing I do want to impress upon you is this. You want full foot contact. Heel to toe. It doesn't have to go heel to toe, but all of it needs a contact. Why? Because we're trying to build the elastic reactive system. And if you're moving less than 5 meters per second, you do not need to focus on ball of foot striking. That's going to happen. When you improve speed, the focus on where your foot is going to naturally happen. Okay? If you focus on all ball of foot strikes, what you're going to do is you're going to teach somebody to use the calves instead of the reactive system, and that is slower. Don't do that. It's something I did for years. I taught them the whole thing. Okay? A skip is next. Step over the knee, same thing you just did, except I want you to step over the knee. Use the arms like brooms, lean it around. Go out. This is an A skip. Okay. See guys, this is an action and hips are forward. Now show you one more time. That's it. Step over the knee, step up. Good arm action. Stay tall. Step over the knee, go to that's pretty good the first time. Alright, let's go backwards. Now what this is going to show me is how comfortable they are in their posture. Go. Strike more, strike down. Step up with it. Stay tall. Good, relax. Now, how many of y'all have done, the next thing I want to do is power sticks. How many of y'all have done power sticks for height? No? Okay. Have you? Alright, I'll show Alright, so I'm going to do power stick for height. What you're looking for is a row heel to toe, you want vertical force. Okay, this is a simple exercise, but when you do these skips, you can see how the progression is going. We're trying to progress to more and more power. Okay, so power stick for height. Drive up. All over. Let's sit. You guys can come all over here. Lean back and drive up. I'll leave it right now. That's good. What you're really looking for is within the lean back and produce as much vertical force as they can. Arm mechanics are not important. Soft landing, explosive, reactive force on the ground is system back. Bring it away. No. Bring it forward. Go forward. Go ahead. Lean back and more height. That's it. Good. Now I'm gonna demo this one. If you guys want to try it, you can. You guys don't mind scoot over. This is a power stick for distance. Have anybody ever seen this? And it's difficult to do for a lot of athletes. It's a lot of strain in the hamstring. But it's part of our sequence. So as soon as they do power skip, we're going to go to skip for the distance. Do you want to try it? I can do one more on that. That's it. Good. Good shot. And what this drill in particular really does is it shows you who is coordinated in those front side mechanics and who can locomote across the ground and really handle that force that the hamstring is going to create and need to be able to handle when you're moving at those horizontal forces. Good job, guys. Now I'm going to take you through bound progressions, and we're going to do this pretty quick because I want to get through to some agility work. But the bound progression is pretty simple. And we're going to start off with a straight leg bound. So I'm going to show from the side, and I'll let anybody that wants to try it. But what we're trying to do is, we're trying to get activity from two joints instead of getting the whole system going. So we're going to start off with straight legs. It's the easiest, in my opinion. Just like that. I want the toes up, we call it triggers up, and you're going for force into the ground, not necessarily height. You're trying to create horizontal force, and it's all about the hips and the ankles being locked. Okay, or sorry, the knees and the ankles being locked. And your point of emphasis is your hip action right here. You guys want to try it? On you. Let's see this. That's it. Those triggers up, full foot contact. Good. Good. Now the next thing we do is not very traditional. It's called a dyno bound. All a dyno bound is you're locked into an acceleration position. So kind of doing like a T-Rex. So you're okay, you're sitting in this position. So we just went from this position here. Now you're here. You're staying in that position. Just like that, full foot contact. I want to give it a shot. You're going to look ridiculous. There you go. That's pretty good. Now if you watch, it's difficult for a lot of them to hold that position, correct? And so that's a skill. You need to be able to hold this position. And what you saw is a lot of kicking and dragging, and those are skills to build. That's the whole point of this. Good job. All right, alternating now, traditional pattern. You guys can line it up. I'll show you the side. Start on 2 feet. Now, people always ask the same question on a bound. What do they always ask? Am I going for height or distance? We're going for vertical force, unless we tell them otherwise. So that's height, right? And what I want is I want my athletes to levitate in the air. That's what I'm looking for. Full contact with the foot. Let's go 15 yards. That's it. Good. 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 Now, there is a point where it's so much height that it's more of a jump, so you got to coach them out of that, but you really don't want to go over distance. Now, next we'll do right, right, left, left. We do this in jump movement, but this is taken it to a different level. Give it a shot. Good. I think they're getting more than bargain. Good job, guys. All right, so speed bound is next, and I'll show this. We don't have a lot of room to show this, but I'm going to back up. Basically, you run into it, and then bound. All right, this is for distance. So if you want to try this, build in for 5 to 10 yards, and then go for distance. Keep your mechanics, so I want you to get out in front. Give it a shot. And this will really show you a lot of technical flaws, right? We'll show you a lot of technical flaws. So what I'm going to do now, because we don't have a lot of time, is I'm going to show you the wickets quickly, and I'm going to show you some reactive drills, and then we're done. So you guys come on down here. These wickets, you can look up a lot of drills online, but basically what you're looking to do here is you're looking to keep athletes from overextending on a sprint, and you're also looking to keep them from having too much drag on a sprint. When you're running full speed, what you typically want is the foot to hit within 4 inches of the hip on both directions. Okay, it depends on body type and how fast they're moving. But you typically want them to land here. So as you know from some of the drills we did, you find yourself landing way out in front or way behind. Those are speed deficiencies that you want to fix. So what we're going to do, it's all getting on the line behind the stand right here. And what I want you to focus on is running like you're running in a phone booth. You don't want to step in front. You want full foot contact, keep, all the way inside those hurdles. So I'll give you an example, and when you get comfortable, Eugene, you can give a shot. It's like that. Trying to overstrike. Good. Step over the knee, step down. Good. It's really simple, but if you have an athlete that's hurt, they can't run full speed, they can still work on the skill and timing and foot placement. And that's really what you're looking at right here. Now, obviously, this would be much more stretched out. Typically, when we do wickets, there's 12 wickets. And you have a short, medium, and long. It depends on what phase of the off-season we're in, what we do. Some days we do all of them. So we'll do the middle one. Big key here, from a coaching standpoint, is don't overextend. Okay, you want to keep your hips, your shoulder over your hips, hips over your feet. Good. Good. And even now with this group, what you saw is a lot of them, you can see some people doing this, but where they hit is what's most important. You saw a lot of them going in that boundary type position, they're not ready for that distance. We'll do one more. And then I'll move this on. Alright, this one's a little longer, you're going to have a little more speed. It's going to be harder to keep your posture upright and strike in the correct position. Favorite drill.
Yeah, so you're seeing.
And as you can see, a lot of people hit their threshold even here, right? So a lot of people hit their threshold even here, and they weren't hitting the correct position here. And this is the purpose of these demos is not to critique them, but you can find where some limitations are, right? Everybody see that? They got outside of a good movement pattern. You don't want to be out here. You want to land cute. It needs to be like a set over every time. And so as you do these drills, you can really find out why they aren't getting max distance. Because you need vertical forces into the ground. All right, let's do a little agility on the sets of bones. You guys do those good for me. I've got 2 drills coming.
You're good. That's one of my favorites, man. I love the lift. We did that all year long.
It's great stuff. I still need you guys. All right, go. Yes, because the first thing you want to eliminate is an overextension in front. And you're really trying to create force underneath the hips. It's not going to be right underneath the hip, it's going to be within 4 inches on those body types. So that's a number 1 priority. It's a skill, no question. No, typically, just like on the yard, we start in the yard if we can, and then we double it, and then we try to triple it. So in other words, go 1.5. It depends on the level of the athlete. With our middle school athletes, we typically start at a yard, we'll set out 3 distances and see who can do what. And if we don't like their technique, instead of overcoaching, we push them back to that level. Alright, so this is a simple drill. But it's an example of what we believe in, where you're doing a non-reactive agility drill, it still needs to simulate agility. So, Eugene, come on here, we're doing one more round. You don't line up, come on. Alright, face this. You take that. So, what we're going to do is combine 2 different movements in more of a game-type situation. You're going to slide in this cone and then you're going to sprint the curve all the way up. Simple. You're going to slide in here, see here, try to transition sprint all the way through. We call this half move drill. Basically a sprint. We call it half move drill. Ready? Go! Sprint. Good. Tight spaces into the body type. Same thing. Speed. Go! Slide. Sprint. That's it. Now you see how, for some people, you're going to see what makes people special right here. Athletically, there's going to be a lot of people that have incredible speed around. They're going to play their bodies and see. Transition, you want to transition with the least amount of struggle and sacrifice be possible. Go. And you can tell by watching him move that he was a dynamic sport athlete. He had a football type movement right there. Tell that type movement was in. Go. That was a great transition. Good. So, go. Nice work. Good job. And we just call that half move drill. That's an example of a non-reactive drill that can get dynamic. You can even have a lead and do other things. Let's do this. I'm going to have a little partner drill. This is a reactive drill. So both of you guys. So Eugene, you're over here. And then you're going to face him. Get on that side line. You're going to face him. Okay, Eugene, you're focused on me. This is a reactive crossover drill. I should show you guys the movie. Okay. So, whatever direction I point, Eugene, you're going to do this. Cross over. And back. So when you cross over, you're looking at good chin angles and back. You're going to come back and let you know. And you're reacting to him. So I'm going to point to him and you're going to try to catch up. Got it? You're going to go. So if he goes right, you're going to cross the same way. You ready? Set. Good, guys. Now, there's a lot we can do on the crossovers with more distance and everything, but you guys get the gist of it. It's very simple reactive. And then one more. I can give you 2 more. 2 more folks. Good job, guys. Don't get in the middle of those cones. Back up just a second. So, actually go back to 5. So back to 5, sorry. You're back to 20. Yeah, that 5, sorry. Alright, this is called the diamond drill. So she's the one focused on getting out of the wall. want to focus on me. I'm going to point to one corner to the other. You're going to touch and go back. And he's reacting to you. You're going to go same coach you do. You're trying to do it. Y'all ready?
Throw them brakes on.
This didn't almost end poorly, all right? Y'all ready?
She's trying to.
I think he's so.
She played.
I can't see you have to do a bigger motion.
What you're saying is I'm a small man. I got it.
I can't see you have to do a bigger motion.
I know, thank you. I tried to give you one. That's a great job. You guys see what you said, okay? So, y'all give them a hand. So, I just want to give you some basics. I'm sorry. Don't judge on these drills, which would definitely have coached the technique on the movements specifically, but I wanted to actually give you guys some drills that you can take. So, again, thank you. It's always an honor to present.
I just want to add one thing. Amazing stuff. One thing I want you guys to know too is we did a lot of this stuff with baseball, with softball, with basketball. It's don't put it in a box and think that all that stuff is just football stuff. Right? That's athlete stuff. That's athlete stuff. We did the wicket drill all year long, and we took it and we just progressed it, and it's amazing to see what comes out in the end when you use these simple drills. But, and there's a couple of his cards, but I wanted to just add that in. Go ahead and finish up. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and those are great. These are dynamic athlete drills, so it's all good. And the technique, like people would say, the technique by some of these athletes will just set the coach for an hour. But we wanted to show you the drills, okay? And you guys are an incredible audience. I appreciate you dealing with my rambling and some of the others, but thanks again for having me. I appreciate it.
Real quick, you got a ticket. You should have your